What's going on, everybody? This is Astinosis coming at you with my very first Wizardry Variant Daphne video. Now, you might be wondering, hey Asti, that's not Wizard Variant Daphne on your screen. That is the remake of the first game, and you're absolutely correct. And the reason why you see that currently on my screen is because I wanted to showcase some of the differences and things that I wish I would have known going in, because at first I was like, how in the heck is Wizardry going to work as a gacha game? I remember however many months ago, I guess it was October, or whenever it was released, that one of my mods was like, hey Asti, there's a Wizardry gacha, did you ever do Wizardry? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, hold up, Wizardry has permadeath, it has aging, it's an extremely unforgiving franchise, so how does that work as a gacha game? And apparently it's a successful gacha game, because I was told that it made 4 million last month, which, holy crap, but okay. So I wanted to go ahead and jump in, and you see my boats and hoes, because, you know, I'm classy like that. Now, this game uses D&D rules. You'll notice that I have a level 5, level 6, level 7. The red is the levels, the blue is your armor class. I'll get to that in a second. Actually, I'll explain more about that later. And you can see my HP. Now, again, this game uses D&D 2nd edition rules. She started with 2 HP at level 1. I had to hope and pray that she didn't die so that I could level her up. And then what happened is that, let me see if I can pull up her thing. So you can see the menus are basically the same thing. You have your inn, your tavern, which in this game, quests are extremely basic. You kind of just stumble upon them. And again, this game is actually, the original version of this game is actually a couple years older than me. It is from 1981, and it was remade on the NES. I don't remember when that came out, but I can tell you that that was the first one that I played. And I want to say I got to about the 4th floor before I got mad and gave up. And so this remake, I revisited it recently on a stream, because I was like, I want to see what this is like and what kind of improvements have been made. And sure enough, the same old crap is still there. The difference is, however, is that if you go into the menu on this version, let me pull this up, you got old school options, and you can choose what you want to enable or disable. Now, as I mentioned, there's aging. Yeah, I don't know what the difference is between Vim and age, but whatever, I kept it back at age. And what I did was, what happens in the original game, you age when you go to the inn, which I don't know how the heck that would translate into a gacha game, because imagine spending money on a character only to have it taken away from you because it got aged and died. Like, how does that work? But in this version of this game, you can disable that, which I absolutely did. Now, here's the thing that I noticed. In this game, if you change classes, your character's age, and I will show you. I didn't make any changes. Okay. Where? I believe you go to the... So, in order to inspect your characters, it was more of a pain in the butt. You couldn't just click or tap on your character. You actually had to go into the tavern menu in order to see your stats. Now, let's look at, wait, no, I'm sorry, that's recruiting. No, we don't want that. We want, let's see, oh, the inn. Okay. So you'll notice that my character is currently 26 years old. This happened because I changed class. It added roughly 7 years to his life. And I don't know how the heck. It's kind of a goofy system if you think about it, because how does one character age and everybody else's age stays the same? His also went up because I class changed him from fighter to samurai. And as you can see, these guys' age have remained roughly the same. Tin's went up, I think, a little bit. I don't know why, because I have not reclassed him. So that is something that does not happen in the remake. In the gacha game, which cool. Because holy crap, that would be such a pain in the butt. But the other thing too is that it makes me very curious how the game is going to approach the more advanced classes, because I have seen the ninja, or that one ninja guy, and I've seen the ninja girl, what is it, Rene or whatever. So with ninjas, it makes me think, because in the original, they could only be evil. They changed that in the PlayStation 2 version of the game, or that installment, where it actually assigned you a ninja that was, if I recall correctly, of good alignment, which weird. But in the original game, ninjas were absolutely overpowered, and you had to have at least 17 in all your stats in order to make one. So again, it being overpowered, samurai being a massive step above from fighter. Same with lord, which could only be good. And there was also bishops. We haven't seen bishops yet. Bishops are effectively a mix. They can learn both mage and priest spells. But what makes me curious is, if I'm understanding correctly, in the gacha game, I think they can use whatever spells they've learned or everything they've inherited. I don't fully understand how that works, or whatever is fully specific, because I have yet to change my character classes yet from that. I've only changed the MC so far, and I'm waiting to change Lanavale to knight, or to fighter, until after I gain her last ability from knight that she can actually use. I believe it's fortified strike or something like that. But ninjas were absolutely OP, and I'm curious how that works, because again, we've yet to see samurai. We're going to see it soon, and some of you have experienced the ninjas already. I did not build the 4-star or whatever they're called, the purple characters. I know that the quality characters are legendary, so I don't know the step downs yet. I'm still learning this game, and obviously I was not playing when Remake came out. I am about 6-7 months late, or however long. We just got through the half anniversary. So again, ninjas were absolutely OP, and I've seen gameplay with Rene, and it makes me curious because they were unkillable. Now, I'll go through a whole bunch of other changes that I've noticed from the games later, but now let me go ahead and just quickly show you guys just how much this game has evolved. Now, this is, of course, the remake of the first game, so obviously the graphics have since changed, but let me show you what it used to look like once upon a time. In the original installment, one of the cool things that this game did is it actually allows you to see the old school UI, which I don't know about you, but that's kind of neat, because it's like a nice little throwback. And again, the original game is older than me by a couple of years. It was made in 1981. I was born in 1983. And again, I played the Nintendo version when I was about 9 years old, roughly. I was 8 or 9. And the games were really unforgiving. So again, that's why I was curious, like, how is this game going to work as a gacha game? So I was pleasantly surprised, mind you, but I'll go more deeply into that later. And let me show you what encounters used to look like. Like, okay, again, this, obviously you see what the encounters are like here, and this at the bottom right, you didn't see what you see here. You saw this one kobold, you had numbers of how many there were, and it tracks how much when they die. You can also see that the old school UI for armor class. And again, I will get more into the armor class later in the video, because I don't want to oversaturate this too much. But yeah, as you can see, it was extremely, extremely basic. And so I'll show you what you'll be able to see combat in this game. Now, because it was not an ambush, if I recall correctly, so I'm actually able to cast. So originally in the old game, and they kept it in this remake, your back row of casters could not attack in some cases on the first round. And I believe it was because it was more like an initiative round. But in this version, or in the other game, you can attack as soon as it's your turn. But this game also, as you will see, it goes effectively in order. Like you queue up everybody's attack all together. So we will go with Badios because we trying to kill. And so, okay. And again, I'm going to go over this later, but you can see the damage here, right? It's a damage range. We don't see that in Daphne. And as you can see, and oh, here's another difference, is spell casting was very different. You did not have MP, you used traditional D&D rules, and you had amounts of casting that you can do. And again, the bishop can use spells from both sides, and we will use... the problem with bishop, though, is because they can use all the spells, they learn the spells at a much slower rate. And as you can see, the damage is using the old school D&D, and so yeah, we're higher level, but we're doing okay. And yeah, you could see what combat looked like. It really didn't look like much down here. So crazy to see how much this game has evolved, for one, and obviously you see it in later installments. And on that note, I'm going to go ahead and bring this bit to a close, and I'm going to show you guys who have not seen it, because I've met a few people that are playing the Wizardry gacha who have not experienced any of the other games. So they said it's actually an interesting take to see somebody who grew up playing Wizardry, even though I did not beat it. I think, again, I got to like level 4 before I gave up, because aging is such a pain in this game. And these games are not very forgiving. And again, oh, and here's how, oh, it didn't let me showcase it, but no, so instead of that whole little thing with the traps, what you did was you had your thief inspect it, and then you actually had a list, and it was a by chance basis of actually disarming the trap. But let's go ahead and bring this portion to a close, and I'm going to go ahead and show you, we'll bring up my Steam window, because launching the games will just be super oversaturated, and it's much easier if I just bring those up. So again, because it would take an inordinate amount of time to relaunch every single game, we'll just go ahead and bring up on my Steam. You could see how the game has evolved over the years with Wizardry 6. Now, again, I did not play these games. I only played the original on the NES, and then I played the PS2 version, so I didn't get to experience... Actually, no, I take that back. I don't remember when, but I believe I at least got to see Wizardry 2 and 3. I never saw 4 or 5 that I can remember, and I honestly never played these. So... And yeah, there's still an improvement between 6 and 7, graphically. I don't remember... See, this is a Steam date, but these are very clearly 1990s graphics. But I believe this was just 2013 is when it came out on Steam. Then we got Wizardry 8, and once again, a lot more graphical improvements. So I believe this is actually when the game did come out on Steam. Excuse me. So yeah, as you can see, Wizardry has come a long way, and that is why I was very curious. How is this going to work as a gacha game? With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about Daphne. So now this brings us to the actual gacha game. So as we know, and for all of you out there playing, basically the same principle as far as when you're not in the dungeon doing your dungeon crawl. So, as I mentioned, I was wondering, okay, how do you turn Wizardry into a gacha game? And of course, every gacha has weekly and daily tasks. So, you know, here we have that. Now, again, I mentioned that in the original game, I think only ninjas could attack from the back row. So I don't know when bows and arrows were introduced, because mind you, once again, I did not play a lot of the later games. The last one I remember playing was the one on the PlayStation 2, and I don't remember it enough to know if there was ever bows and arrows. But again, I also said that it was D&D rules for all the damage. So seeing HP like this is crazy to me. Like, granted, I don't think you can get this high a level in those games. I don't know, because I want to say the highest level I got to in the PlayStation 2 game was somewhere between 9 and 12, roughly. And for example, in the remake of the first game, there is an achievement for reaching level 15, which may or may not be the max level. Now, the other thing is that in the original games, in order to make a ninja, you had to have 17 in every single stat. So this game does have bonus points that you can assign when you get your new character and everything. But in the original game, it was a gamble. So basically, you would pray to RNGesus and keep on recreating characters. Like, I probably should have showcased that, but for the sake of how long this video could actually get, I'm not going to do that. But I mean, if you really want me, I can make a short or something of it just to showcase how ridiculously long it could take. Because, well, you could actually, I believe it was gnomes that were the easiest to get a ninja created, if I'm recalling correctly, because they had certain stats that were very high. Humans had a massive disadvantage because their stats were just beyond average. Now that's another thing that we don't have in this version of the game is gnomes. They did introduce other...
Asti, you don't need anyone else. Just look at me. I'm your perfect waifu.
I'm gonna edit that out. So they did introduce other races later on, like there's something that resembles Wookiees, for example, I believe in the 8th game. And so I'm curious if and when we will see more of these races. And again, I don't remember beast folk ever being a thing. Oh, also ninjas were only allowed to be evil up until the PlayStation 2 game, where you are actually assigned a ninja story-wise, and he's actually of good alignment. So that was weird to see. But I did notice that in this game, alignment doesn't play as... It plays a role, but it's really different. For example, I believe with Lanavale, if you have an entire row of her, with her, and they're all good, where's the... right here, good. So I'm curious, because we will eventually see... I mean, if they're going to be releasing Samurai soon, we will potentially see MC as a ninja. And that also makes me curious because, as I was saying, ninja was the busted OP class of the original game. They already have ninjas in this game. I know Remake, I was not playing when this game came out. Again, I am just now starting this game about a little over a month ago. And I was really like, how is this going to work as a gacha game? Then I decided to try it, and I was pleasantly surprised. And honestly, this is probably one of the more addicting gachas that I've played recently. I don't know. I guess dungeon crawling really scratched an itch that I didn't know I had, kind of thing. And, you know, I love that we got boobies, of course. Woo! And oh my god, I don't know what I did to get Ulan like this, or excuse me, Deborah. I renamed her because I was playing Suikoden 2 recently, and I don't like, if I can rename, I generally will, and you know, I'll pick other waifu names, just to have it. But yeah, this I love this look. I don't know what I did. One of my mods suggested that maybe this was an affinity thing. If you know, by all means, tell me in the comments, because I have no idea what I did to unlock this. I do know that every time she wanted to stop in for the tavern, that I was getting, it seemed like I was getting all the right answers. This girl is beyond busted, like holy crap. But yeah, seeing the numbers that we see in this game, like, these are, I kind of really wish that I had started from the beginning. Now, I have heard the stories from other people that have met me playing this game on Twitch, and we are doing this live, by the way. I did hear that there was a lot of bugs that, for example, if I recall correctly, one of the first bosses was nearly impossible to beat unless you, I think you had to be a whale or something. It came off as paywalled, and that there was a lot of bugs, but they gave a whole lot of apologems, and I really, really, really wish I was around for those apologems, because one of the things that I noticed is that this game is stingy. It is stingy as hell with its resources. Like, I didn't pool for a long time. I mean, I did some pools, mind you. But I also got really, really lucky. So again, I don't know if things were just changed for new players. I mean, who knows when it comes to the RNG algorithm. There's lots of theories out there for these gacha games, because you see some insane luck sacks. With Abenius, for example, I got her on my first multi.
Let's hear it.
And I pulled her on a whim. I had no idea what she did. You know, as a character, I did not do any research before pulling. I just was like, holy crap, green-eyed, with green hair baddie. I mean, she looks absolutely stunning, and yeah, I'm down for that. And I like to collect me some waifus. And I got, you know, the Lana Veil Wandering, and I also am able to change her to the other, but I like this look a lot better. And yeah, so I have the entire list of standard characters, and I really I didn't pull much at all. So that was actually fascinating that I've been ridiculously lucky. And then with Shelly, I don't remember her original name, but I'm a massive Nikke fan, and Rappy is among my favorite of the Nikkes. So I mean, it probably didn't make much sense because she doesn't have the red hair, but whatever. So this one, I believe, took me 3 multis. Let me see.
It's as gloomy as always.
Where do I go? All right, hand of reversal featured, and I want to look for my points. Oh. So, okay, 4 multis. So it took 4 multis, and then I made the mistake of I tapped on the screen because I don't know what the indicator is to know that you got lucky. I haven't figured that out yet. Because most of you know that in a lot of gacha games, you can tell when you're about to pull the legendary, the epic, the SSR, whatever, the 5-star, or for those of you who used to play Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia, you know when you got the force weapon, you know when you got the burst weapon. This game, I don't know yet. I don't know what the tell is, and yeah. So I've really not done that many gem pools in this game. I think I did a couple on one on Burkanin, but at the time I had like no gems. And then again, as you can see, I don't really have a whole lot of resources for pooling. Wait, oh. Wait, where are my gems at? Oh, goodness. Where's my gemmy gems? So, I mean, this is probably a decent stash because I still have a ton of content to do. I'm still on Abyss 2. I don't like Abyss 2, but again, I've actually been pleasantly surprised. Now, I kind of wish that I knew going in that it wasn't going to be D&D rules, but also I'm 50-50 on that notion because I don't know if D&D rules would work in this. Now, I am glad that permadeath can be avoided. So, because that was the main thing that I was like, Wizardry gacha, that doesn't make any sense. You die, you're done. Like, you have to get new characters. And imagine spending money on this game for characters that you really want just to have it taken away from you. Now, I do know that you can still get permadeath if you're a dumbass, but it's easily avoidable. Just wait till your fortitude is at least 50 or higher, and then do it. Or, if you have the pass, you get the free revives, which I have used a bunch of those. And I will say, though, that I think it is a little bit overtuned. Now, don't get me wrong. I appreciate the fact that it is still keeping the tradition of the original games being extremely punishing. But the amount of times I have wiped, it's not even end game content that I was doing, and I'm wiping. Like, the bronze, oh my gosh, the bronze grade rate. No, see, I'm getting mad thinking about it because, don't get me wrong, that scorpion got some big old booba, but that shit was agitating. And I never want to see that again. But I was told that iron and steel aren't as bad, and iron, it wasn't the worst, but the main problem was that I needed to get gear. And speaking of which, another thing I wish I would have known going into this game for, I don't know how long it was, but my mage, Yekaterina, was using a dagger because there were no such things, at least not in the original Wizardry games. Like, I'm sorry, the original Wizardry from 1981, rather, that was then remade on the NES. I don't recall a single caster weapon. Your spells were based on the roll of a dice, and it would say, okay, this spell does say, for example, 4d6 damage, and it either did great damage or it did shit damage. This game, you don't have to worry about that, which is kind of nice. But what I neglected is I didn't think the caster weapons like the staves mattered, and I was not paying attention, and I made the cardinal error of not reading. Had I read the items and noticed, hey, that increases magic, I did not actually get that sorted out until I got to the bronze rank up test. The whole time I was playing for so long, gimped. I gave my priestess a two-handed staff, and at the time I only had the one, so I gave Yekaterina a single-hand staff or wand or whatever you want to call it, or whatever it's called. And holy crap, the output was severely different, and that's why I ended up finally beating the scorpion chick, because my healing output was not enough. She went from healing 60 HP, whether it was a single target or healing the entire row, to healing about 160 to 180, I want to say, depending on what level of the spell I have. And she's currently got Matios level 2 and Dios level 3. So that was insane to me. And in a way, I'm not sure how I feel about that change, but I do appreciate it because it is more traditional to your general RPGs, where your casters aren't sitting there with regular ass weapons. Now, don't get me wrong, there were staves rather in the Wizardry games, but at minimum in the original, they did not affect your casting power. Honestly, I don't even know why or what the point is of wearing them. Now, the other change, if you noticed, and I probably should have pointed this out originally when I had it up, but the armor, defense. So this game, we know, has defense over here. Now, in OG Wizardry, it uses, at least, again, I'm speaking of the original Wizardry, including the remake and the NES version, they use armor class. I cannot remember what the PlayStation 2 version used. I think it still used D&D rules, but we're talking D&D, I believe, 2nd edition. Armor class. Back in the day when the best armor class was as low as you could get it. So everyone gets a base armor class of, I believe, 10, and then it's 9 or 10, but basic gear will bring you down, and you will then want to bring that down. So the other weird thing is that they have some expensive gear. For example, the more expensive plate mail, I believe, is a -4, but then another piece of armor is -5, which doesn't make any sense. And you can find magic items, which is like a +1 to the item, but it still makes a reduction. So you can bring it lower and lower, and when that happens, you can bring it down as low as you go, and you effectively become harder to hit because the game internally uses the D&D rules for attacking. So it first has to do that 1d20 to strike, and basically if you have the absolute lowest armor class, the enemy effectively has to roll a nat 20. Now, what sucks about a nat 20? We all know that means crit. So it's interesting to see that they did not go with that rule, but I guess because they didn't do D&D rules clearly with the entirety of the system, they went with the traditional defense power of other RPGs. And it definitely makes a difference the higher your defense is. So, but that was yet another change that I was kind of surprised to see. So that being said, this is going to bring my first Wizardry Variant Daphne video to a close. I'm curious to see what everybody else thinks about this game. For those who have played a long time, I am not coming in as somebody who thinks that they know everything about what they're doing. I'm just an old school Wizardry player coming back to the genre because, again, I didn't know that I had an itch that needed scratching, and it involved dungeon crawling. I especially like that this game's dailies, I can finish them in less than 10 minutes. That's pretty awesome. So, that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed, and remember, for every like, subscribe, and follow that you do to my channels, Needy Person's cheeks get clapped.